My name is Fraser.
My name is Mark.
And we are the hosts of the geekiest show alive. To the outside world, we're ordinary geeks.
But in the Fab International Studios, we talk comics and find other geeks just like us. This is Geek of the Week.
Trade-off.
Wow.
To explain trade-off, the way this works, Mark and I have different interests when it comes to comic books. I'm very family friendly. Mark's very more, let's say, adult in a sort of in a not safe for work, but most of the time for safe for work kind of ways. He likes his sci-fi. He likes his horror. I'm very terrified of horror. Love a good superhero book. Do like a bit of sci-fi as well.
I do enjoy giving you horror. It is with great glee that I give you horror books.
Well, just so you know that I don't sleep those nights.
Oh.
Just so you know. But we've got a lovely book. We're continuing the LGBT month. And we've got an exceptional book. This is perfect. So glad that we're doing this for our Valentine sort of Valentine issue. And I'm glad that that we're touching on this book at all. This book is Love is Love. It's an anthology, collected stories. Just a load of talented writers on it. We had Marvel writers, DC independent ones, and Mark and Draco brought all these creators together to pull out some incredible stories. And now for most of them, most stories got like one page, some got two, but every single one of them managed to make an impactful story in one issue. I thought it was exceptional.
The book is an anthology which was done to benefit the survivors of the Orlando Pulse shooting.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know about the Orlando Pulse shooting, we're very, very briefly explain what it was.
Yeah.
Essentially, a guy who was concerned about his own sexuality, having he had a history of hating himself for being gay, went and shot many people in a nightclub.
Yeah, and this Pulse nightclub, just to carry on with that, it's explored again in the book. This Pulse nightclub was a big nightclub in Orlando.
Yeah.
Especially for the LGBT community. It was a very accepting place, and it was a devastating shooting in America, it's so upsetting that stuff like this is happening. But what is great is stuff like this comes out of it. It's now
the reality is.
Oh, sorry, I'll let you.
The reality is that the Orlando Pulse shooting was a few years ago now, but it's already an important part of LGBT history.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad. Funnily enough, it wasn't me that put this book on Trade-Off.
It was this guy.
It was Fraser, and I was so glad when he did, because it's important to me that we discuss some LGBT stuff during this month.
Definitely.
And what an anthology this is, what an achievement it is, and this book is part of history already, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and what I want to say is it is a part of history, and it's because it's the way this community battled back from it. And it reminds me of now, hopeless romantic here. I love the film Love Actually, and there's a bit at the beginning there where they talk about how love is all around us, and obviously love is love. You know, that big story. You can sort of see the connection I'm making here, or at least I hope so. But there's a bit of narration in that says it talks about the 9/11 attacks and how all most of the calls on the plane weren't ones of hate or whatever. It was loved messages to the others, and that's what I enjoy about this book. This book isn't attacking the shooter. This book is it's exploring the world of being in this LGBT community, and there's a lot of stories that I've made little notes of that really sparked for me that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I've done the same. I think we're gonna talk quite a lot about this
because there's a lot in it and it's all incredible work, and there's even stuff because there are some writers on this, it's just who just hit a blank, didn't know what to write, and there's a beautiful one that's just happy to be a part of it, and comics community and the LGBT community coming together are why this is just an exceptional book. And
I feel like after something so horrific, so indescribably evil, that this very positive book makes an important statement.
Yeah.
I think this book is...
It's how you battle hate.
It's wonderful.
You battle hate with love. Hate, an eye for an eye makes the world blind.
Well, exactly right. And this book really, really resonated with me. Obviously, I'm gay, and it was so powerful that almost between every single story, I had to pause to kind of reflect and digest and be a little bit sad.
That's it. Yeah.
Every story had something in it that just made me think. It was about the horror and the human impact, and it was incredible.
It was a real thinker, and you do have to emotionally digest each one, which I think it's weird to think, because you are just talking about one page of a book, and typically when you read one page of a comic or a book, you sometimes you can gloss over it or you can skim through it, but each one left you like you say, stopping and just being like, wait, I have to fully digest this story and you emotionally connect with each page, which is an exceptional thing to do in fiction. Like each bit grabs you. Now, let's go through some of the stories that sort of hit you, and maybe we might have the same, we might have some different ones. But yeah, do you want to go through some of the stories?
Well, the first usage of Batman, which, first of all, where were the Marvel characters? Why did Marvel not...
Well, so Mark Andreyko is he works a lot with DC, so it's a lot of more...
But this was published by IDW, and they borrowed some stuff from DC, so why wouldn't Marvel
No, so everyone sort of worked together, but instead of getting Marvel, I think it'll be licensing and stuff like that, but he just got writers, he just teamed up with a load of writers. Mark Andreyko's this incredible comic book writer, but he is predominantly DC, so he just got his writing friends and just asked people he knew. It wasn't necessarily I need to get this publisher or this publisher.
Right,
it was just getting... But it was more about the writing and the creative teams rather than...
I did notice, obviously, who wouldn't, that Batman was in it, but, say, Spider-Man wasn't.
Yeah.
And that... I'm not going to say is a negative of the book, because obviously it's incredibly important that they've... And it's a hell of achievement that they've got Batman in there, in what's essentially an indie comic book to raise money for gay people. That's a hell of an achievement, but I did feel like, wouldn't it have been nice if there had been a main Marvel character in there as well?
Yeah, maybe. Again, like I just say, it's Mark Andreyko. We can't credit this guy enough. It's an exceptional bit of thing, but it was just him asking writers. It wasn't necessarily I need to get loads
I'm not blaming him. I'm thinking Marvel should have jumped at the chance.
But the thing is, Marvel have done stuff like this in the past. They've done a 9/11 issue with Spider-Man. It is something. It would just be one of those things. There's so much things with the offices and stuff like that. Obviously, it's way above our pay grade. It's way up. But there would have been reasons why, I can't see Marvel, passing on this. It would have just been that they, were unable to. Or maybe Mark Andreyko didn't even address... He might not have known some of the Marvel writers. There wouldn't be a contact thing. But, no, let's go back to
Going back to Batman anyway. But I just felt like using, and I quote, the world's greatest detective, and then saying he can't solve this. Batman did nothing. Batman didn't kick anyone.
Such an impactful
Batman didn't
line.
fight anyone. Batman didn't do anything. He just stood there looking sad. And
I've actually got the quote here.
Wow.
It's a quote from another character. If he can't find the answers to why this happened, no one can. And it's this shooting. It's an unexplainable thing. It's why would someone do that? And it's just you know what? There's no clues to find out why. There's no he'd been planning this for months or something like that. It is just unexplainable, and it's heartbreaking. And I think it was a very powerful thing using Batman for that as well, because of that whole greatest detective thing. But no, totally agreed. We both got that on the list. But
I loved how they were all very, very short strips, and it was a new artist for each piece. So obviously it wasn't just the writers that they got; it was the artist. So there were probably hundreds of creators involved in this project, and that's so good. That it reassures me that there's love in this world, and that there's people who care and people who are decent, and and the whole comic book industry clearly came together for this one book for LGBT people, and that's the age we live in. You see a lot of hate, and LGBT history is full of hate and anger and oppression and brutality. And even though this was a reaction to all of those things,
Love is what's going to power you
Look
through.
what LGBT history is going to be as we get into a more enlightened age.
Exactly,
It's wonderful.
It's great. Were there any other stories you wanted to touch upon?
The dog.
The dog. Yeah.
Oh, the dog. I don't even want to. It was just pure heartbreaking. A page of stuff about a dog, and it was just so powerful. Of all of the stories, I think the one about the dog just truly broke my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a dog. I have a cat, but it's the same thing. That cat is.
Dogs have that. Dogs have that strong emotional connection. Like.
And my cat's a bit special. Yeah. She's basically like a puppy, and she just adores me and my partner. She's like a puppy. She runs down the stairs when we get home, and she just looks at us with this big fuss me face. And so I just felt something very real and something I truly empathise with that one. And there's no way you could have had a happy ending. There's no way you could have. It just broke my heart.
No, I like that. I like that as well. Like sometimes they didn't gloss over it, so they didn't go, "Oh yeah, but everything's fine" or something. They literally did was like, you just got to embrace that it was horrible.
I just don't understand how the talent of the writers and the artists to make just one page of a comic book, so incredibly powerful, so incredibly emotional. That it's talent beyond.
Yeah,
it's talent beyond my comprehension.
It's like what I was saying before. It's an exceptional feat in fiction, let alone just in comics or in anything. It's incredible. What about some of the other stories?
The anti-guns one.
That one was the Mark Miller one.
Yeah.
That was exceptional. I love that because it had a description, like it showed other weapons or what other things have been used as weapons, and their other usage, and obviously it had the image of them all being used, and then the gun, which was like in the shape of American. It's like guns have one use, and I was talking about this to because I was applying. I'm doing this new job where I'm a children's presenter, and I go into schools and talk about subjects like gun control in America and a lot of serious issues like slavery and stuff like that. And one of the things I talked about Love is Love with them, because I was just like, this book's so impactful, and it really got me, because I was a bit nervous about that job, because like, can I talk about this? And then reading this, I was like, you know what, you can put like, there is a way of expressing yourself, and I was like, you know what, it's important that this message gets out there, because
it took my breath away.
Yeah.
I sat back and I went.
Mark Miller as well. That's a big impact player there.
Yeah, it wasn't just anti-guns. It was just brutal and simple.
Just so honest as well. Like honest, short to the point. Like that one. It's like you said with that one page. It was like, that's all you need to know, and that's. You know, and you go, yeah, you agree, and it's a valid point. Now I remember when I spent one of the times in America. We were with a host family and very very happy to be with that host family. Glad they housed us for the days they did whenever we were off. And there was one day where they the dad asked if we wanted to go shooting, and I was a bit in my head I was like, I really don't want to, but then everyone else I was talking to was like, oh no, it's an authentic experience. And I was like, and in my head I was like, I spent the whole night wondering, I was like, right, if I can find a valid reason for why a gun is used that's not murder, or murder of an animal, murder of a person, then I will go shooting. And for the whole night I was rattling my brain and I couldn't think of a single one. And I was thinking, okay, maybe it's archery, you shoot a dart at the board, at the target, everything's fine. I was like, okay, so it could be like that, it could be like darts. And then I was like, in an hour, and I was like, I don't think that's enough. So I was like, I was going to pass on it anyway. But then the day of came, and they were rolling out the target things or something like that. And the target was a person. And I was like, with the bullseye. And I was like, no, this is just wrong. And there's a lot of not to get too much into the whole gun control thing, because obviously it's less of an issue in the UK. It's a big issue in America, but it is just horrible. And for me personally, this page is exactly my opinion on gun control.
I
guns,
agree.
Really, it's It's one of them. It's like if we had no guns, there'd be no things at all. And when I talked about this in my interview, she was like, "Yeah, I was watching this American who went, oh yeah, but people drown. He's saying if we get rid of all pools, no one will drown." And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. If there was no pools, no one would drown. There was no guns. Yeah. No one would, and it's like you're proving the point you don't want to prove.
I find the whole gun thing incredibly scary. I'm 40 years old, and the first time I saw a gun up close was within the last 5 years, after all the terrorist stuff that we've had in Britain.
Yeah.
And there was a police officer with a machine gun when I was in London, and it brought a shiver down my spine. It chilled me, because they're so damn scary, and the fact that people... I don't get it. I can't get it. I won't get it. I'm glad I don't empathise. I'm glad I don't understand.
It's weird that there's a tool there that can literally end something so beautiful as life. Like, I feel like life's a gift. That's why it's called the present. But something that could just take that all away is horrible, and put like such a horrible effect on millions of people, because this book, like some of the more stories we're going to cover, it also showed the effect it had on the victims' families, or like other people just trying to process.
The dog was
the dog also trying to process, and it's that lasting effect, that one thing that we can easily, easily, it's like if it's removed, that stops happening.
This book showed the horror and the human impact of one thing, one event that has concentric circles that affects the world, and all these stories just showed you the true horror and the aftermath of what happens when somebody does what that young man did at the Pulse.
Yeah. Was there another story you wanted to touch upon?
I think for me it was very important that there were some straight voices in there, because we aren't just a gay community. We are a world community. We are a local community. We are people who have our differences. And if this book had just been gay people, then I think it would have been too blinkered, too simplified, too boxed up.
Yeah.
And for me, it was so important that there were some straight voices in there. One of the stories was talking about how hard it is to be straight and be a good ally without being patronising, without being too try-hard. And that's absolutely true, you know. I thought it was really important that there were straight voices in there, really important that there were gay, lesbian, trans voices in there. And they got everything right with that. They put somebody from every background in there, and it was important that they did.
It showed that we can all coexist in one, like we all coexist together to make this book. Why can't we all coexist in the same world? And like that story says, like being an ally, allies just supporting someone. It's just wanting to be a decent human being with other people. And if there wasn't the hate is there, these like prejudice, then we would all be together. Like we would all be together, and it wouldn't be weird for anyone. It's just like, you're interested in someone else. It's like, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with that story. And
do you know my one concern with this book?
No.
That only people that are already enlightened will read it. Only people that are already on this side of the fence will read it. You won't get people who like guns reading it. You won't get people who hate gay people reading it. So I think this is the only criticism I have. Is it just a book there to make gay people and their friends sad, or can and will it make a difference?
To me, I would flip that. I would say it is a book for maybe the enlightened, or that just, want to see a positive come out of a negative, because it's really hard in this world. We have so much negativity happening that when something positive comes out of a bad situation, it makes us look at a new, different perspective of life. It's like, you know what, there are some bad things in this world, but we don't have to let them drag us down. We're going to fight against it with our love. And I wouldn't even say fight with it, because, some people say I'm a lover or a fighter. We love against this book. We're going to throw our love against your hate, and I think that's what it is. Any more of the stories you wanted to...
I've mentioned the ones that hit me the most, but every single one of them had something in it that made me just pause, reflect.
Take it.
It took me an absolute age to read this book. It's not that big, but it took me so long.
It's
because
definitely not a binge day read.
And I found it a really tough book to read because of the emotion that it made me feel.
I enjoyed taking my time with it though, because it was sort of that thing of like,
I'm glad I took my time with it.
There was more beautiful messages in there, and it just made me feel more accepting as a person the more and more I read it, and the more I became more and more enlightened I feel as the days went on. And it was like, must have been like a week or something, or over a week, where I just felt like I feel much more better as a human being that this exists, and it perked my day up, especially like when I saw horrors in the news. I just like took time out, read a few pages of this, and was like, yeah, this is nice. I'm going to talk about a load of stuff. So one thing I want to touch upon at first was great. Patty Jenkins, who director of Wonder Woman, had a little story about her film Monster, the story behind this Eileen
great film.
Yeah, about this woman who was vilified because she was a lesbian and stuff like that. And it's really interesting. If you read this book, definitely check out that little bit at the beginning. Don't skip over it, because that's as impactful as anything that's on there. And it also made me really interested to check out more about this lady's story and also the film behind it. But I thought that was a cool little shout out to start off with.
Have you seen the film?
I haven't, no.
It's brutal.
Why I said I wanted to check it out.
It's a great film.
A story I loved, all these are going to be loved ones, I'm just going to point out, was the one that was titled Pulse, and it was the one about super love. So it was talking about this couple, this gay couple, and like this kid was just wondering, like, was asking about, is their love the same? And they went, no, it's not, because they have to. They went, it is and it isn't, because they have the same love as your mum and your dad, but they have to put up with all this hate, and the way they combat that hate is with more love. And then the kid was like, oh, so is it like a super love? And I was like, it melted my heart, and I was like, yeah, it is a super love. To love, to go through all this heartache and just to love another human being is absolutely beautiful. And it just melted my heart. Another one that sort of touched upon, like, again, because whenever it took a child's perspective, because they're the pure innocence, they're going into this world, and like, we need to make a better world for them, a world that this book is. Our world should be like this book, in my opinion, because it'd just be a bit more nicer. The positive stuff, anyway, from it. And it's called Hand Me Down, and it was two children listening to their parents, and one of the parents was very accepting, sort of like our enlightened, and the kid was learning and sort of being like, oh, okay, so it grew up in a nicer world, and it was like, okay. And then the other one was like, said the F word and stuff like that, and it was a horrible thing. And it just shows the influence we have on the next generation. And I'm hoping, because we are getting more and more enlightened as generations go on, and I'm hoping that soon we will have a generation that's...
I do feel like we're slowing down. At the moment, we are slowing down. But I think you have to have troughs so that you can achieve your peaks. I don't necessarily think...
Yeah, you've got to battle through the heartache to make the...
We're not going to get strongly into British or American politics right now, but I do feel like things that have been happening are...
Because it's still happening...
Very, very sad and very, very...
It's still happening with, like, racism.
Steps in the wrong direction.
It's still happening with racism, and I think, like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X and all that, we've had great things for Black History Month, but we still have issues in America. Like, they're still prevalent. No one's saying that they're getting away, but we're chipping away at them. And the way this book is doing it, with love, we'll chip away with our love.
Right, here's the thing about LGBT, women's history, black history, disability history. The very nature, because of them being oppressed groups, is that the history is stories of horror, prejudice, hate, sadness, but it's also overcoming diversity. Exactly. It's also becoming better because of the history. And that's what this book is about. This book... I just can't emphasise how 100%. Important it is, and it wasn't overly worthy either. It just is a truly brilliant book.
I kind of want to finish because I've still got some stories to talk about, and I would be really irked if I don't mention these just because of how epic they were. I love the Brave story, which was Batwoman. Now, Batwoman is an incredible hero in the DC universe, but she also is part of the LGBT community. And obviously, being a bat person, being a superhero, there's a lot of dangerous stuff, and you always have to be brave. And in this, they highlight that the bravest thing Batwoman ever did was be herself, was coming out, and I thought that was epic. Just like a nice way of using an LGBT superhero. I thought that was incredible. There was a Green Lantern story, and the quote was, "Diversity makes us stronger, embracing it makes us human." I thought that was incredible, especially with the Green Lantern, like... the lanterns, of course, have got all the different rays of emotion with the coloured rings and stuff like that, and they sort of show a diverse world as it is.
Yeah, because they're all, they're all
some are aliens and stuff like that, and they're all different, but yet they manage to work together. They're all using the same will. There's obviously the love rings and stuff like that, and I thought that was incredible. A beautiful quote. Just to encapsulate that. And the last one I want to talk about was this one that talked, actually, oh no, it's two in one, that I'll talk about. There was a Beauty and the Beast one, so they retold Beauty and the Beast, and sort of like it was like the right, I'm rushing, so I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take my time to talk about this last one because this one's really important to me. And it was talking about love stories. Oh no, it's the same one. Love stories in books and cartoons about love between like dogs and birds, inanimate objects. So like you can believe toys can fall in love in Toy Story, but like, so why can't you accept that a man would love a woman or a woman would love a woman? Or
yeah,
do you know what I mean? So I thought that was nice, and it's sort of that thing of when we are younger, we accept a lot in our stories, and it's like, so why can't, like, when we get older, why is it so hard for us to accept this in real life? Do you know what I mean?
There's
and I
an
think that's why
to children that I think this,
and I think, which is why when we get more LGBT representation from a younger age in like a Disney film or something like that, or in these animated cartoons, I feel like that's when we're going to make even more of an impact as well. Because it'll be imprinted in kids from a young age, and I think that's what the stories I've looked at sort of hearken as well, is sort of that if you get them from a young age, that's when it is, because it's an impressionable world, and like the effects that hate can have on young children will damage our future, which is why it's important when hate comes around, we show young children that is love out there, and just show other people as well. Like I always joke and say, oh, I'm a kid at heart, but I do have that innocence about me. Whenever I see hate, it really irks me, and I try and make it not affect me. So when this love happens, I'm like, okay, restored faith in the world.
Right, here's the thing.
Final thoughts.
I'm a cynical old queen, and you've just said how much you are an optimistic and almost childlike. The fact that we both came out from this book saying it was an incredibly important book that we both got so much from, and it's important. It's one of the best books I've ever read, let alone
definitely
comic
for
books.
Sure. Now, to finish off, fellow geeks of the world, have you checked out Love Is Love? If you haven't, definitely go check it. Definitely go check it out. We've got an Amazon affiliated link for you to check it out. We'll give you the sources. We're going to show you where this book is. We'll show you where the love is.
Get it.
Love is all around us. Love is love. But we want to know your opinions on the book, and if you've got a favourite story, we would love to hear it. And
tell us what you think.
Exactly. We're all about it. Let's all share the love. Okay, but that's to listen to Geek of the Week. Be sure to tune in next week. Same geek time, same geek channel.
And if you want to follow us on social media, it's at GOTW Radio on Twitter. Search for Geek of the Week Radio Show on Facebook. And to listen again, it's www.mixcloud.com/Geek of the Week Radio Show.